You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Hey, everybody.
You beat me.
I tried to sneak it in there.
I see what you did there.
Welcome
To the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about
How We Game.
I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
Tonight's live show coming to you from Studio B for Bean. It is just Rob and I tonight. And tonight's episode is going to be end of the month. It's the last Thursday of the month. So we thought we'd give you a recap.
Yeah. Got to start a new thing here. Yeah.
On games we've played this month.
A final Thursday recap of what we've been up to over the last month. We just realized we were talking a little bit tonight that we haven't really discussed or haven't talked about what we've played because we've been coming up with topics for each of the shows for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and we were trying a new thing with that. And I think we're going to continue with that. Probably the first 3 or 4, whatever it ends up being, live shows every month. But the last live show, the last Thursday of every month, we're just going to do a little recap of what we've been playing. And some months it'll be a lot more than others. I know we've got a handful of games here that we haven't had a chance to talk much about. I think we've probably referenced them here and there just a little bit, but we figured we'd jump in a little deeper on that, tell you what we liked, what we didn't like, and as always, we want to hear from you. What have you been playing? What did you like? What have you not liked? What's going on? What kind of news have you heard? Call in and tell us about it.
Look at Mitchell. Thanks. First one in the comments, Mitchell. Prudhomme, on time tonight.
Woohoo.
Question mark.
Yeah, kind of.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were on time. We nailed it. Yeah.
I think with just Rob and I here tonight, just playing some games beforehand, we were able to kind of settle in and get things going a little quicker. I've done, since last time you've been here to Studio B, I've done some work and made it easier to set up. Like I got a landline built into the room now, so I don't have to walk across the house to plug into the network box.
Yep.
I don't know the magic words for all the magic internet
The
stuff that
router,
happens.
the router box
That's
thing.
what we're talking about.
There you go.
So it's simplified there. The cameras, I actually started mounting them permanently in place. So Robert's starting to see kind of a...
As permanent as a hole in the ceiling gets, but yeah.
Shh, don't tell my wife.
It's kind of permanent. Oh, don't say it too loud.
It's all 3M tape. It's all 3M tape.
Oh, okay.
It's all non-permanent.
Yeah, from what you can see.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we it's kind of made it easier to get going and get set up. We were playing tonight a little Imperium Classics.
Yeah, we finished up Betrayal. So we've been playing Betrayal for a couple of months, last couple of months before the game with William and with my daughter Emmy. But we got all done with that. So we were a little bit of a loss tonight before the show. We were like, oh, what do we do? We don't have that hour and a half game of Betrayal. So Carlos sprung out the Imperium Classics, and so he taught me that. It is a bit of a teach, a bit of a learn. So
it's a little crazy. By the way, phone line's open. 813-618-7099 is the phone number.
Yep.
Give us a call. Talk to us about what you got going on, what games you've been buying and playing recently. Give us your recap. I've tried, I think I've talked about this, trying to learn Imperium Classics myself solo, and it didn't work. I'm sorry, it just didn't work. I couldn't get my brain wrapped around it.
you did struggle through a game. Did you get through a whole game or part of the game?
I did. Beans and Dice podcast. State your name. Where you calling from?
Mitchell, calling from New Iberia.
How are you, Mitchell?
Hey, Mitchell. Welcome to the recap show.
Thank you. I'm doing well. How are y'all?
Doing good.
Things are well. We are counting down the days to Dice Tower Retreat.
Woo!
We're testing out
is it 2
Imperium
weeks now?
Classics. Is it 2 weeks, Rob?
Be 2 weeks from yesterday. Yep.
Yeah, 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. My friend BJ was hounding me for going with you guys instead of going to
I saw.
PTCon with him the next weekend.
I saw him giving you a hard time. So you said you had to make the choice, and I guess they're one weekend right after the other, huh?
Yeah, I don't think I could swing that with the wife and the job, you know.
Well, you made a good choice. You're going to have a good time at Dice Tower, I think.
I don't
think
disagree.
I'm enjoying myself. And
Yeah.
hanging out with you guys, right? You
Of
can't beat that.
course. Can't beat that. That'll be good times. Yeah.
Now, we did see you on the show with BJ. BJ has Board Game Gumbo. He
Board
has
Game
a
Gumbo.
Twitch channel that he does. He
Yeah.
has the YouTube channel.
Yep.
He's a contributor to the Dice Tower.
Yep. He's on Board Game Breakfast.
And you can find him on Instagram.
Yep.
And Mitchell joined him this week on his show. I watched some of the Goonies play.
Yeah. I was hoping to catch the Red Cathedral teach because I believe you were teaching Red Cathedral. Unfortunately, I got in late, and so I saw the end of that game. I watched y'all finish up that, and then I've watched you play the beginning of the Goonies, but I didn't get to see a whole lot. So I'm going to go back and rewatch that video on Twitch so I can get your learn to play on it.
Yeah, and if worse comes to worse, I'll teach you in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Well, that's kind of the plan. So yeah, we're gonna play no matter what. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, for sure.
Cool.
For sure.
Awesome.
With the phone calls having been a bit slow
sure.
lately, I want to give you a good 10 minutes of the show to talk about your recaps.
Yeah.
Give us what you've been up to while callers and viewers start popping in.
Sure. So pretty much everything I play, I put on the Beans and Dice community Facebook group. So hopefully I'm not being too repetitive. But with some of them, I guess I post a picture and not really a review of it.
Okay.
So on the stream, after we played Goonies, Bradley, who I guess he didn't like to be on camera, but he was on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
He introduced us to a game called Court of Miracles. I never heard of this one. It's been out for a couple years. It's from Lumberjack Studios. I hadn't even heard of that publisher. And it's set in France. I don't know if it's a specific time period in France, but basically this king is getting deposed. And as he's being led to the gallows, each of the different players takes on the role of a different gang trying to seize power in the vacuum of power as the king's getting killed. And it's a really unique game. I instantly purchased it. So I guess at its heart, it's a worker placement / area majority game. So each player has these little small wooden chips. Kind of almost looks like a checkers piece. And then you put your color in it. It's kind of recessed, and each gang has a different animal that it's associated with, so it has that animal symbol. And so you're placing your piece on the board to activate the worker placement action. But on the bottom side of it, it has a number or an ability. And so that's like your combat power or combat ability, but only you know what it is. So there are 15 worker placement locations split into 5 neighborhoods of 3 spaces each. So at certain times throughout the game, what happens is the neighborhoods will break out into a brawl. And so even though you placed your worker there to get the ability of that space, you're also basically putting your forces there. And so then you flip them during a brawl to see who ends up winning. It's a really neat mechanic, a combination of 2 different mechanics. And the interesting thing is if there's a tie, then it's whoever's like closest to the end of the line. But of course, it's like a plus symbol, a cross symbol. But the abilities closest to the cross are going to be the weakest abilities. So it was a cool combination that I enjoyed a lot, and it has an instant end trigger. So if the king gets all the way to the gallows, which my friend who was teaching it said that never happens, then whoever has the most points wins. But points, I don't remember what they're called. They're these little like castle things. There's 6 of them. And whenever you win a brawl, you take control over that neighborhood, and you put one of your little castle tokens out. If you get all of those castle tokens out, then you automatically win. But there's only 5 neighborhoods. So even though it's beneficial to put them in the neighborhoods because you get money every time anybody goes there, yourself included, there's also a separate portion of the board where it's like a one-time benefits you can get for paying to go there, and that's another place you can put your castles out. It's a one-time rather than an ongoing benefit, but nobody can take your pieces off of there. But you can lose those neighborhoods whenever brawls happen. And the brawls happen either whenever all 3 spaces are filled or at certain points whenever the king is closest to that neighborhood. And there are also ways for the active player to move the king into a location where they can pick whichever neighborhood they want to brawl. So really, really cool. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one.
I haven't. It looks pretty interesting. The board is really kind of a cool shape. It's not your standard square board. It looks like it's
like a top-down, almost like a RPG view of a city.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm seeing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm seeing some cards in the game. They seem to have some asymmetrical type abilities? Are those player abilities, or are those just cards that you acquire to do things during the game? Or
yeah, so everybody starts with 1 card, and then one of the worker placement actions is to get a card. You can play 1 on your turn at any time, and they really change up the game a lot because, for example, there was toward the end of the game, it was like, wow. If Bradley gets 1 more coin, then he can buy one of those one-time abilities that sends out his last piece, and he'll win. And so me and BJ kind of teamed up, and we were saying, as long as we don't do this to let him get money, then he can't win. And he's like, well, he had a card that gave him like $1 or something, so it keeps it a little bit interesting, and you don't expect it.
Is it overly random?
No, a lot of the cards have similar powers to other ones. I didn't think that it was unfair or unbalanced. I mean, of course, sometimes you might get a card that situationally doesn't work for you, but that's the nature of a game with cards, I think, anyway.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
My only complaint about it, and this is not really a complaint about the game, it's just about the mechanic of kind of hidden information, is once I put my little wooden piece face down, it has left my mind what number is on the bottom of it.
Oh, yeah, you got to remember.
So I kept having to check. Luckily, you're allowed to check your own pieces.
Okay.
But, and then it's almost kind of like, I don't want to call it bag building. That's not the right term for it. But you can upgrade your workers by there's a bag of better ones than the starting ones that you can get and switch them out. And again, with the theme, there's the Seine River. You're in Paris. The ones you don't want anymore, the workers that are too weak, you throw them in the river. That's the discard area.
It's like Draftosaurus. You can throw the dinosaurs in the river when you don't need them.
Reminds me of Bring Out Your Dead, too. Your guys you can throw the extra dead bodies in the river, and they just float down, but you get negative points later for them. Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of feels of this game of reminding me of Council of Blackthorn. It was a game that Barry Kreitzer brought to a game day and taught me.
I remember that.
Had to do with getting influence from the king and using different factions, but that one had a lot of randomness that made it just kind of crazy. And that's why I asked about the card play in this one, which Blackthorn suffered from this, is the cards were so crazy random.
Yeah.
You had no idea what was going to happen. It doesn't sound like this one suffers from overpowered cards that just change things too much.
Right, and now again, I've only played it once. I've not seen anywhere close to all the cards, but all the ones I got and that my opponents were getting seemed to be, enough to give you that little edge when you need it, but not completely OP.
Okay.
All right, Robert, who's it by? Who's the designer and who's the publisher? Just give them a shout out.
Checking them out here. Lumberjack Studios.
That's who it's by.
Yeah, it says they've got 38 games. I was just giving it a quick scroll. I haven't heard of any of these. But they're definitely an established publisher. And let's see, let me go back here. The designer is...
It's a French name.
Robert took 3 years of French in high school, so he can answer that.
Le Coeur... no, hold on, that's the alternate name. Oh, it's got a French name, Le Coeur de Miracles. Designer Vincent Bruges and Guillaume Goultard.
There you go.
Goultran, sorry. Yeah, there we go.
Maybe.
There we go, cool.
Good shout. Give us another game that you want to highlight on your recap of games you've been playing.
Sure. So this wasn't a new one for me, but I think, Carlos, it was you that was asking a question about it in the Facebook group. Last week, I got Roll for the Galaxy back to the table. So I know you've heard of this one, but you said you hadn't played it yet. Is that correct?
Right. I played
Race
for the Galaxy. I've not done Roll.
What about you, Rob?
I haven't played either one. No, actually, I haven't. Somebody,
okay.
I was going to play Race for the Galaxy about a week and a half ago. We had a little just impromptu game night, and somebody had pulled that out and started separating all the cards and everything, and then I think it was William was there, and William was like, how about we just play something else? And so he pulled out a different game, and we ended up jumping over and playing, it was Furnace, we ended up playing instead. But
nice.
Yeah,
good choice.
Yeah, but Race for the Galaxy
probably a better game.
Yeah, I'll say Race is one I've wanted to play for a long time, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't want to play Roll because there's dice.
Yeah, dice.
Here's the thing. Roll for the Galaxy, I love the concept. I enjoy the game, but I am horrible at it. I've never done well.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been able to get my engine going. So the basic concept is it's a dice builder. So you're trying to get better dice, but just because you have the dice doesn't mean you can always use them. You have to spend money to get them into your cup. And once they're in your cup, you roll them and you can use them. Now, if you roll something, you don't end up using that die, it goes back in your cup. But if you use it, it goes back on your board, and it takes a lot to get it back in your cup. And that's what I always struggle with, is getting them back in my cup. Because every round you get $1. But until you've built it, but then you need money to build the engine to get more in, but then you got to spend money to get the dice in to get the engine. It's like circular logic, and I can't wrap my head around it. But the basic concept is there's 5 different actions, so the dice have 6 different potential things, because there's the 5 actions and a wild. But some dice have more of certain actions. And so I much prefer playing with more players, because the way it works is behind a screen, you choose which action you're going to activate. So no matter what your dice say, you can use any size die to activate any one of the 5 actions. But then any extra dice that you have, you can put them like underneath that action. And if anybody else does it, you get to do it if you also rolled that.
Oh.
So even though you can only activate one action, if you're playing with 5 people, in theory, if you rolled at least 4 other symbols, you could do all the actions that everybody else did.
Right, which is reminiscent to the original game, the Race for the Galaxy, kind of the Puerto Rico feel, If somebody takes an action, but everybody else gets to take an action from that action.
Yeah, I actually haven't played the original ever.
It's got that Puerto Rico mechanic,
that
that Twilight Imperium 4th edition, where each player gets to select an action. Ares Project has it, the Terraform Mars Ares Project, where whenever anyone picks an action, everyone else gets a smaller version of that action when they take the action.
Yep.
Right, so it's not a smaller version, it's you actually get to do it. And it's very breezy because everything is simultaneous. You don't have to wait on other players at all. So when you're playing with 2 players, though, it takes forever because if you pick the same thing, then you're both only doing one action. And even if you do pick 2 different things, it's like, okay, now I get to do 2 things. It's much better when there's more people. And so anyway, you're trying to explore these planets, and once you get a certain number of victory points or you've explored a certain number of planets, it triggers the end of the game, and you get points for the planets, and you get points for, like, trading with different planets as well. I lost abysmally. There's 2 main ways to get victory points. It's like you can deliver a die on a planet, and then you can use another die of that color to go and pick it up, and that'll give you like 3 points. But then the planets are like 6 and 7 points depending on it, and those are the things I can never get to. But it's a fun game. Hopefully one day I'll figure it out. I definitely recommend it. Maybe you guys will have better luck with it than I do.
Yeah, I definitely want to play. I want to play both. I've heard the big hurdle in this game is the symbology, that there's a lot of symbology.
Yeah.
Same one for the original.
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
issue with race.
So here's the thing. The player aid is horrible, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It way overcomplicates it. Like, it could literally have maybe 25% of the text and would be easier to understand.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think they're trying to fit the theme, and it's like, oh, this dice becomes a settler, or this dice becomes an explorer. But, like, no, just tell me what to do with it. Don't tell me what it is. That's more confusing.
There's my Mitchell,
I know Carlos may
mechanics.
not like that.
Yeah, mechanics guy.
But, Mitchell, we won't disagree with you because Robert and I are in the midst of learning Imperium Classics, and the rulebook does the same thing here. It falls into this trap where it wants to have a different name for each type of thing you do so that it has that theme. So it's like, oh, garrison that card.
And every type of card has a little symbol on it, and it's like, that's a fate card, that's a this card, or that card, and everything's got a name on it. It's like, I don't care. It's the leaf symbol card. That's all I care about.
It just makes it harder to learn the game.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they have a great built-in way to signify each action, because there are these 5 tiles, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so you know the order, and it's one symbol for each action. And what you do is, if somebody activated that, you flip it over to the colored side. So it's clear what the actions are that you can do every round. It's like, why not just have these 5 symbols on my player aid and give me one sentence of what they do? But like, the player aid is literally all 3 folds of it are covered in text, and it's just so yeah. I'm glad for once. I'm not getting flack for wanting to go just mechanics.
Carlos is on board with that one for once.
All right, homie. We appreciate your call. We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If you're still online and you see it's dead, call back and give us another game to talk about.
Oh, no, I don't want to overstay my welcome, but I'll definitely be in the chat.
Yeah, that's never happened, my friend. But if it is dead, I'm being serious. Call back. Like, if it's dead, please don't leave us hanging.
No. We're good.
Good night, Mitchell.
Thanks, Mitchell. Have a good night.
See you.
Right, bye.
All right, it's our buddy Mitchell from New Iberia, Louisiana.
Yeah, a couple.
So much fun with him. Meeting, and this is how we met, was through this show. Phone line's open, 813-618-7099. Put the phone number on the board for you.
Yeah.
Give us a call. Talk to us about what you've been playing.
Yeah, long range, too, because New Iberia is not close to Tampa. So, I mean, for anybody
he's
who's
been here to the studio. He's gamed with us. We're going to meet up with him in Orlando.
Yep.
So it's just cool
friendship.
Meeting new folks. One day we might make our way to Sweden, where Edmund England is.
In there.
He's dropping by in the chat again.
Sweet. Yeah.
Staying up late again.
Hey, Edmund. Yeah, good to hear from you.
Wayne Kruger says there was no drink on the tables. So
well, yeah, we had that
that
discussion
saved time.
before. Yeah, exactly. No cleanup effort tonight. Not yet, at least.
So, yep. I guess we'll start with.
We'll go back to
or take a call. Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
This is Kenneth in Tampa Bay.
Hey, Kenneth, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Glad to hear from you. We're talking game recaps, what we've been up to. What do you want to talk about?
Well, games that I've been playing.
Sweet.
Been actually just got back from one. As y'all were on. So,
which game was it?
I was playing Letters from Whitechapel.
Oh, okay. Letters from Whitechapel. Cool. What do you-
Amber and I enjoyed some of the Halloween themed madness going on with the game clinics at Your Turn.
Okay.
You've really been enjoying the game clinics at Your Turn. Like
yeah.
I've been seeing your posts on Facebook. I think we became friends on Facebook not too long ago, and I've been following what you've been posting. That's really working out for you.
Yeah, getting a lot of games in over there. That's cool.
Oh, it's great. They've got all sorts of things that we've been wanting to try. Just the other day, got to play Jaws because it was one of those that, thought, okay, how replayable is it? Am I buying a game just for one time to play, or you find out? Yeah, you can actually play that game a lot.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's
a game.
Yeah, it's a real fun family. I call it a family weight game. I played it with I think my daughter Emmy played. I think Lonnie had taught it to us about 1.5 years ago, right after it came out. We were over at Armada. We met up over there, and he taught it to me and my daughter, and it was a lot of fun. I was surprised. A Target game, and about 1.5 years ago, Target was still like, ooh, a Target game? I don't know, but
that's why I've never bought it or played it, because I think it's an IP cash grab, an intellectual property cash grab. Just want to make money off the Jaws.
Yeah.
But Kenneth, you were posting about what a good game it was. Why should I play that game? Give me one of the few reasons why you liked it. Like, what made you like it?
It followed the theme well. And it was actually, each decision actually had you kind of crunching a little bit. You had to be thinking through the game. And it doesn't favor one. It's really well balanced.
Yeah.
So one side or the other, you got to play well and think through what you're going to do. But once you know how to play the game, take about an hour to play.
Yeah.
And it really does cover the Jaws going around the island, trying to track it down, and then the climactic battle. And it's just been a good couple of times, and I'm looking forward to getting in, another 20 plays on that game. Easy.
Yeah, and I like the fact that I think if I remember correctly, it's like 3 little scenes from the movie, and you're playing 3 different little scenarios, and depending on how well the shark does or how well the people do in each of the scenarios, it will affect a little bit the way the next scenario starts. And so...
so like a little mini legacy game.
Yeah, like a little three session, and like you say...
Or campaign game.
It's just 2 acts.
Oh, it's a 2 acts. So I'm sorry. Okay, so the 2 acts, but so how well either the shark or the people do or the humans do in the first one will affect the way the second one starts, and so it can give one side a leg up or the other side a leg up, which is it's pretty cool. So,
Robert, do you have this one?
I do. Yes, I did buy this. I think. So,
okay, I'm gonna have to borrow it and try it with the family. We'll
fun.
do. It's dang near Halloween now.
Yeah.
Jaws is a horror movie.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Right? Horror-ish. So maybe it's time to watch a movie and play some games.
Yeah.
Good call, Kenneth. Good call on that one.
We played Jaws and then watched the movie again.
Yeah, it makes you want to watch the movie. That's for sure.
All right, so we got 2 games from you now. Letters of Whitechapel and Jaws. Give us one more on the recap for what you've been gaming.
Well, actually, also, thanks to you, picked up Harry Potter Strike.
Oh, man, that's a fun one. I got Strike sitting behind me and Robert right now.
And it is an incredibly just fun game. And you don't have to be totally with it to just sit down and enjoy a quick few minutes. I mean, Amber and I just sit down, play 4 or 5 games. We've had a good time without burning our brains too much.
Yeah, this one's a fun one. Just a little dexterity game. You're just throwing dice. You're just knocking dice around and kind of hoping for the right outcomes. It's just, like you said, kind of mindless fun. Just kind of relax and just throw some dice and have fun.
Now, the Harry Potter version, unlike the regular Strike version, has some additional rules and complexity.
Oh.
How did it step up the game from original Strike?
Well, from the original, it added a little bit of complexity. So you kind of want to, need the book open for the, first 10 times you play it. And because when you match the pair of dice, the matching pair does something different.
Okay, so you're not just pulling the matching dice to you in the regular game of Strike. So in the game of Strike, what you're doing, folks, you got a dice bowl, and you're going to have a die that's in there with a number, and you're going to chuck one of your dice into there. You got like 8 dice in your hand. And every time you chuck a dice in there, if it matches a number for any of the dice in the bowl, you get to pull all the matching numbers to your hand. If any dice roll an X, those dice are removed from the game entirely. And we're all going to take turns chucking dice into this bowl until someone is out, meaning they have no more dice. When the last person standing is there, that's the winner of the game. So you're saying in the Strike version, instead of just chucking and matching the Harry Potter version, you're casting a spell when you pull the symbols?
Right. So when you make a match of symbols, there's an order or a tier in which they work, and you cast the spells.
What are the types of spells that you cast?
Okay, like one of the first ones, man, I hate these. It's a freeze. You roll if you roll a match, no spells get cast. You only get to collect matching dice.
Okay, that's kind of like standard Strike.
Well, right, but those dice that are matching don't get picked up.
Oh, even worse. Never mind.
So it's stage frozen, and so you're like trying to knock those out. And
so it added some strategy in here, Robert, because if you see that symbol face up in the bowl, you want to hit that die in order to change that face.
You don't want to freeze.
Because you don't want to... I like what they did there.
Interesting, yeah.
You have to... And so if you've got... I mean, we've had games where the bowl was full of 5 of those darn dice.
Yeah.
Because every time it's matching, as long as it's there, you can't pull them up.
So then you're going to want to try to hit them all so they all change face.
Knock them all around. Yeah.
And... there's another one, Asio, which is you get to grab matching dice and 1 extra dice.
Okay.
One is like break a spell, which is you throw the dice and it matches, and then everybody has to throw a die in at the same time.
It's a little chaos going on there.
Whatever is matching in the bowl, at that point, you collect.
Okay.
So if you got 3 or 4 matching, you actually collect all of them.
Get a whole bunch of them, yeah.
And those are the dice from everybody else.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to find this one. Like, I like Strike,
Kicks it up
and
a little.
it's fun,
Yeah.
but like Rob said, it's fairly mindless.
Yeah, you just
It's
kind of
fairly mindless.
And, yeah.
This adds a layer of strategy on what to hit.
Little thought, yeah.
I think you sold me, Kenneth. I sold you. You bought it. Now you turn around and sold me on
Sold
it.
it back on it. That's the way it works.
Amber loves a good dice game. She really does.
You got a good woman there. Hang on to that. Put a ring on it.
Carlos loves
Put a ring on
his
it.
dice games, yeah.
So we're coming up on 18 years.
Nice.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks. January, 18 years.
Wow.
So,
Congratulations.
For you folks that are just watching and listening today, Kenneth joined our game group a couple of months ago.
Pretty recently, yeah.
Like 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Started going to our game days, and we've gotten to know both Kenneth and his wife, Amber, and playing lots of different games. Kenneth plays a variety of them, which has been great.
Yeah. I think the first game I played with Kenneth was Concordia, just maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. And I had a chance to play again. I got my second game of Concordia in with Muhammad and Ben. We played over to Armada a few weeks back, and so I'm I'm loving that game. I can't wait to play it again. So I've got a copy of it now. So I've now acquired the copy that I bought from Muhammad. So I'm itching to play it again. I know Carlos wants to try it, so we got to get that in. But if you want to play again, definitely anytime.
Kenneth,
I'd love.
Pleasure talking to you, man. Glad to have you calling in. I think this is Kenneth's first time. No,
he's called before.
He's called before.
That's the first time we called in.
Oh, first time.
It is.
Okay.
It is
All
first
right.
time.
So,
It felt like first time for
there you go.
long time listener, first time caller. Bing, 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 bing.
There you go. Well,
All right, Kenneth. We will see you at the next game day. Man, it would be great to see you at Dice Tower Retreat, but I think that one's filling up. But we will.
yeah.
I think game day is going to be scheduled on the same day. All right, Kenneth, man. Have a good night.
You have a great one. Talk to you
Thanks
later.
for calling.
See
Kenneth.
you. Phone lines open 813-618-7099.
Yeah.
Robert, that makes me think. Is
It
our
is.
second
Yeah, somebody
Saturday?
had asked about that once before, I think, and we looked and we
geez,
saw
folks.
that it is.
We
so,
host a
yeah.
second Saturday game day every second Saturday.
Every month. Yep.
But we will be at Dice
The Dice
Tower Retreat.
So we'll have to look at.
Well, that'll be the
moving that or
location. We'll
something.
host it.
Oh yeah, host it at Dice Tower Retreat. Yeah, all you gotta do is buy a $140 ticket. You can join us.
We can play in the lobby.
Yeah, there you
in
go.
Orlando.
Yeah, they can't stop us from coming in there. We get 20 people in the lobby. That's fine. Yeah. But no, we'll figure that out. We'll have to put up something for either rescheduling or have somebody host that for us. But yeah, we can't miss second Saturday game day.
Yeah, because we got through a lot of games last second Saturday. We haven't even had a chance to talk about it. That's what this recap's about until we get interrupted. 813-618-7099. Mark Stang in the chat. It says
Hey, Mark.
Concordia, my favorite game.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, that's that one's growing on me again. It's the first time I played it. I've heard about it for years. Of course, it's kind of turning into I'm going to call it a modern classic. It's not that old of a game, but the first time I played it, I did one of the clinics over at Your Turn Board Game Cafe over in Zephyr Hills, and I liked it, and I started to see that there was some complexity to it, but it wasn't overly complex. It wasn't really a brain burner. There's a lot of decisions that you can make fairly lightly, and you can still do pretty well in the game. The really cool thing about the game, I think we've talked about this before, is the in-game scoring, so I won't get into all the detail, but that's the thing that's really kind of revolutionary in that game. It's like first time you play it, you're like, whoa, okay, that was kind of cool. Let's play that again, because now that I know how that works, and now that I know how I score points, I want to try that again. So getting a chance to play it again, it was about maybe a month after my first play. And like I say, I acquired a copy of it, and it's a game now that I want to kind of play over and over, because there's a bunch of different little paths you can try to get points and to try to do things in different ways, and I want to try all those different paths now. And so,
See, but the over and over part, right? A game has to have the ability to scale well.
yeah,
Right. How would you think this scales? Is it 2? Is it
played it at 4 and I've played it at 3. So the 2 plays that I've gotten are 4 and 3, and it's pretty good. It does scale for
down to
players.
2?
And I think it does start at 2. I can pull it up here real quick. I think the player count is 2 to 5.
Because maybe that's it. Because of the scoring systems, I would like to try it at a 2-player.
Yeah.
Kind of, almost like playing brass 2-player. Give you a chance to learn the mechanisms of the game, and then that next game really go for it.
And one of the things is they've got a bunch of expansion boards for it. So there's different areas you can play. Like the main,
trading in other parts of the Mediterranean?
The main game comes with 2 sides to the board. The one side is all of the Mediterranean. The flip side that I just played for the first time when we played 3 players the other day, we played the Italian side, and so you're just doing right around the Italy area. And that played differently. You use less of the tiles, so less of the resources and things come out, and it kind of keeps the game moving along a little quicker, made the game a little shorter. So that's a big part of probably the scaling. Is I haven't tried any of the other boards yet, but I know there's 3 or 4 or 5 expansion boards that you can buy for it that do a little bit different things. They change up a few of the mechanics, and then they definitely can change the scaling on it. But yeah, it says it plays 2 to 5, and it says play time about 100 minutes. So actually, that's probably pretty accurate. It's been about an hour and a half, maybe each time that I've played it.
I guess maybe next Thursday we'll be at. No, next Thursday you're out of town.
Thursday,
I'll be here solo.
Yeah, you'll be here. Yeah.
If William comes,
Hopefully
then
William
I'll
can
have
come
somebody.
Yeah, be your wingman here. Yeah.
Yeah, but then the week, so it's gonna be like 3 weeks before I get to play Concordia.
Yeah, unless we pull it out at the retreat, we might be able to play it up at Dice Tower. So,
are you willing to play? You talk about
yeah,
Robert's
I'll teach it.
Robert's con theory.
Yeah, well,
is that he shouldn't play games that he's played before.
No, I don't want to go and just play games that I've played before.
There's an asterisk for the just.
Yeah, no, I want to go. There are a few games that I always want want to play. There's games that are just good for con setting. I mean, we could do a whole show about that. Just games that you want to play at cons, either because they're high player counts or because they're big epic games that last a long time. But there's certain games that you
Tumbling dice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go.
Crokinole at 4 in the morning.
No, that's fun.
At a con is so much fun.
Ramp you back up for the next game. Get you adrenaline going.
Mark Stang is talking about Concordia. He says if you get into the game, he's in the chat here, folks.
Okay. Yeah.
For those of you folks in the chat, don't forget this is a call-in show. We have a phone.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Call in, talk to us.
But yeah.
If you get into the game, there are different maps that work better with different player counts.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. So,
almost like Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, Ticket to Ride.
Where some of the maps really do improve for a 2-player.
Yeah, because I've got the Nordic countries for Ticket to Ride, and that really is. I think it's only 2 or 3 players, and there's a lot fewer routes. It's a lot tighter. Yeah, that's.
I bet your wife loved that one.
Yeah, no, she didn't like that so much.
Exactly.
She likes Ticket to Ride. It's one of the few games she will play, but she doesn't like conflict, so she doesn't like the blocking and all that kind of stuff. So no, she didn't like that so much. Actually, she hasn't played that now that I think about it. She's refused to play it. I played it with the kids a few times, but
she said refused.
Right, yeah, she would nope, not playing that. That's too tight and too much.
All right, so let me get a game in that. Let me recap a game that I've played.
Okay.
Robert, you weren't there, but we got to, of course, get a game of Biblios at the last game day.
That's a great one.
What would a game day be without a game of Biblios?
Yeah.
We got to introduce it to Diego. I think Diego brought his copy, and it was his first time playing it.
Okay, so you taught it to him?
I purposely did not bring my copy.
Yep, call him.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
This is Mark in Columbus.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
Hey, Mark, glad to hear from you.
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
We are swell.
Doing great. What have you been up to?
You started talking about Concordia, and I had to call in because I love that game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's like I'm calling it a modern classic. I think 2013 it looks like is when it came out. So it's a little on the older side as far as board gaming goes, but it's a great one.
Yeah, I played it, oh, gosh, I think maybe 3 years ago for the first time, and I just fell in love. I've got multiple expansions. I don't have all the maps, but I've played it. I mean, this day and age, you don't get a chance to play games tons of times because I'm always trying new games. But I've probably played that 20 times now. So.
Yeah,
that is so true about not being able to play the same ones over.
Well, now let me ask you, what about Concordia does it for you? Because I'm only 2 plays in, and I can't quite figure out, other than that in-game scoring, which is really just kind of cool, that you really don't know what everybody's doing or how everybody's doing until they reveal all those cards at the end. But what's the hook for you? What do you really enjoy about the game?
I just like the simplicity, right? On your turn, you just play a card, right?
Yep.
You play one card, you do what that card says, and then, but there's so many things that you want to do. You've got to take your guys and move them all over the board so that you can build, trading posts, and you've got to manage your money, and you've got to do all these things. And you got to watch what other people are doing because you want to make sure that you have access to all the different types of trade goods, and you don't want somebody to monopolize all the silk or cloth or whatever it's called. Yep. I'm a mechanics guy too. I don't know all the names.
There you go. That's on my side. We'll chalk one up for the mechanics. Yep.
And so it just changes dynamically, but and there's just lots of cool decisions. Do you want to, and because once you play a card, you don't get to do that action again until you pick up your cards.
Yeah, I love that.
You don't want to pick up your cards too quickly because the longer you wait to pick up the cards, the more money you get.
Right.
Right. So you're trying to maximize every move. So he's like, well, I'm only going to be able to do this once this round of cards. I've got to figure out when's the best time to do it. Do I move now and build?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't have the resources. I need to get some resources first so I can build the places that I want, because you don't want to send an architect out there and only be able to build once if you can build more than once.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So
got economy of actions. That's a big part of it. Yep.
Right. And then of course the end game scoring is great. I love the way, you can focus on different things, and that sort of drives the cards that you buy.
Yep.
One thing I always tell people who are new to the game, don't ignore the cards, because the cards are your multipliers on your scoring.
Exactly.
and understand that. because if you just concentrate on building everything out, but then you don't get any cards, you're not going to multiply. So,
and I'll have to say the 2 times I've played now, I haven't paid enough attention to the cards, even though I think I finished second both times I played, so I haven't done poorly, but I have definitely focused on just trying to get stuff on the board, trying to be a little bit of everywhere, do a little bit of everything. So yeah,
Mark,
yeah.
I'm gonna ask Mark.
I think
I'm the kind of person that likes to connect or learn a game by thinking of how other games work like that game, right? So, mechanics or actions in one game will help me learn another game. In Concordia, and I'm challenging you because I know you're coming from that Columbus, Ohio area. And you guys game like crazy.
Yeah,
I'm calling you out
up there, yeah.
because you've had to play enough games. And we're going to see you in 2 weeks. We're going to meet you in person. We got some swag already set aside for you.
Yep.
We get to meet you in 2 weeks in Kissimmee, Florida for the Dice Tower Retreat
yep.
2021.
Yep.
So I'm calling you out because I know you're a big gamer. What are some of the things that you do in Concordia that are like other games that will help me understand it better?
Let's think.
I know Marco Polo is one that for some reason that jumps to my mind. I know Carlos has played Marco Polo.
Okay.
And there's a little bit of, I don't know whether it's some of the art or the colors on the board and things like that remind me, but there's these paths that, and as you can kind of see here in some of the pictures that we're flipping through.
These routes?
That you got to take these routes to get to certain areas strategically. And like Mark said, you've got this architect card that you play, and you move your pawns along in between the different cities.
Okay.
And so
that's Marco Polo-like. Very
right,
Marco Polo-like.
And so when you do the build action with the architect, you can build adjacent to anywhere that you have one of your pawns. And so you want to strategically move these pawns around so that they're between areas that you don't already have buildings in, because you can only put one building in each city. So you want to move them to areas where you can keep developing new areas, but your amount of movement is limited. And without getting into too much detail, the more pawns you have on the board, the more moves you get when you do the move action. The architect allows
kind of like Maglev, right?
Yeah,
where
there you
your
go, Maglev
action
Metro,
when you
yeah.
take it is improved because you've got more pawns on that action.
Yep, definitely.
Okay.
They're on the board in this case instead of on your little player board like they are in Maglev. But those are, I was giving you kind of a minute to think there, Mark, but those are two, Maglev and Marco Polo, remind me of some of those mechanics.
All right, what feels do you get out of this, Mark?
So this is going to be kind of a weird one, but Century Spice Road has that same card play where you're playing, all you do on your turn is you play a card.
Yep.
Now, it's obviously much less complex than this, right?
Yeah.
But you just, on your turn, you're just playing a card, you're playing a card, and then you have to, and you're trying to get as many cards played before you pick them up.
The efficiency piece of that, because if you're taking a whole turn to pick up your hand, you're not doing as much as you want to do. So you really do want to play as many of your cards out. I love Century Spice Road. I think Rob was a playtester for that.
I was, yeah.
When they were creating it, before it was Century Spice Road, it was
called Caravan. But
and
too many
we
games
played it with
Caravan,
our Ticket to Ride pieces.
Yep.
That's how we learned it. But I love that feeling of, I got to get all these cards out. I don't want to keep any in my hand before I pick up, because then I'm just wasting actions. So thank you for that match. What other matches do you think of, or can you think of?
I'm trying to think of something good for the goods trading, because there's you produce goods based on your houses, and when somebody does an action in your province, everybody who's got a house in that province produces. So there's almost, I don't want to call it a Catan-like thing, but in Catan, when somebody rolls the die, you produce, right?
Right.
In this case, if I decide. If I want to call it's called the prefect card. But if you use the prefect card in a province, everybody who has a house in that province gets to get some of their resource, gets to generate that resource, whatever resource their house is on.
Can I suggest one, and you tell me if I'm crazy?
Go for it.
The recruit in Scythe. So when I activate my recruit in Scythe and build them onto the board, whenever Rob builds a mech, I get a coin.
Okay.
Kind of that good feeling of when someone else around me does something, I get a little something too, and I'm encouraging that person. Hey, Rob, you want to build another mech, don't you?
That action. You want to do that thing. Yeah, that gets me stuff. Yeah. There's a lot of that in Concordia. I found in my 2 plays of it. There's a lot of that. It's like when somebody goes to do that prefect action, it's like, oh, you want to do that one over there because that one's going to get you a silk. Oh, other than the fact that it's going to give me 3 things, but it's going to get you the bonus silk plus, something else. But yeah.
Is that a good match? What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I could see that. It's definitely that idea of, you get a little something on your turn. It also affects your strategy, right? You don't want to. One strategy might be to put a whole bunch of people in one province.
Yeah.
But that's not going to score you as well. You really want to kind of spread out to lots of different provinces, because one of the ways you score is how many different provinces. One of the card scores based on how many different provinces you are in.
Right.
One of the card scores based on how many different types of buildings have you created.
Yep.
So you do want to spread out to all these different things. So you don't want to just concentrate in one place. And so when you see somebody get something and you say, okay, they're going to go over there all the time with their prefect action, I'm going to build there so that every time they go there, at least I get something.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
a little bit of brass in there. I see. When brass, I want to distribute my coal mines evenly, so that I'm always the closest coal
Somebody's got
to somebody else.
So-
You got to use my coal first.
Yep. I can see that. That's a good comparison. And one of the things I was trying to think of that I can't think of another game that does it, and that's as I was scrolling through the pictures here, another cool thing about the game is that little resource board that you have. Your player board only has a certain number of spots on it, and so we talked about that prefect action that you might do a prefect in an area, and there's bonus ones. So if I prefect the purple area, the purple may give me a silk plus everybody in the purple area produces. And there's certain times that I may just need that silk, but I don't want to give Carlos those. He's got buildings on everywhere in the purple area, so he's going to get 3 resources, and I may only get the silk plus maybe 1 more or something. But there's this player board that you have only has a certain number of spots, and if you fill it up and somebody is supposed to get something, they can't get it until they clear some of those spaces off. And so I can see that Carlos has almost filled his board or completely filled his board. Like, bam, now's the time to prefect that area. He doesn't get the bonus. He's not going to be able to take any. In the game, if it's full, you can't swap out. So if I'm going to get a more valuable resource, I can't decide to take that one and kick off an old one. Once your board is full, you've got to find a way to spend those resources before you can get more. And so that's another little cool, again, I can't think of a game that does that I've played, but it's another there's a lot of little mechanics in this game that are just really well done. So
I like it.
I agree. That's a great one. It's also Century Spice Road. I don't mean to keep comparing to that, but it has a limited number of resources on your board. You can only keep so many. But there's no. But you are allowed to just mix them up. It's just you have to discard down for whatever you want. In this game, it's limited. Like you said, if your board is full, you can't take anything else. You don't get a trade unless you take an action that allows you to trade. And then also on your board is your extra pieces. So you end up with 2.
Right.
You start with 2 player pieces on the board and 4 on your player board. And as you take them off and add, there's a card that allows you to add your players to the board. As you take them off, you open up more spaces in that warehouse to store goods. So so that you're incented to get those guys out of there for a couple of reasons. But if you're doing that, you're saving resources to do that versus building. So there's a nice tension there with all the different things that you want to do.
Robert, I got a feeling of, and tell me, Mark, if I'm crazy here, when he talks about taking actions at certain times so that it benefits him but doesn't benefit others, it immediately takes me to Twilight Imperium 4th edition. Right? So Robert will do things like proc his strategy card after watching everybody else spend all their tokens.
Knowing that they can't follow that
knowing
action.
They spent all their strategy tokens, knowing they can't follow the action. Like, he wants to be that kind of a jerk.
Timing is big in Concordia. Timing is, once you learn the game, I'm seeing that more and more as I play, that doing the right thing at the right time. And there's I think it's the Diplomat that allows you to copy the card that somebody else has played. I believe it's the Diplomat. And so there's definitely times in this game that you're waiting for people to play whatever card so that you can Diplomat it, or vice versa, that you're holding off on a card until somebody else plays their Diplomat, because then they can't copy your upgraded card or whatever. And so there's a lot of that timing stuff that sometimes you're just trying to buy time, you're just trying to waste actions, play a few cards that aren't as beneficial because you want to wait for everybody to not be able to follow you, and then you play that upgraded card that does something really cool, and then everybody's wasted their Diplomat. They can't do that. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Mark, I want to. Go ahead.
Good.
Hit me.
I was just going to say one last thing about the game. One last thing about the game that I like with the cards. When you buy another card, when you get a card, you get it right into your hand. Right. This is not a deck building game where it goes into your discard. You get that card into your hand. You get another card in your hand. That's another action you get to take before you get to have to pick up your cards.
Mark, that's awesome because Robert and I are learning Imperium Classics right now, and when you take a breakthrough action or an acquire action and you pull a card, we had to go back in the rulebook to figure it out, but it goes right into your hand.
Yeah,
we were kind of a little stunned by that, but that's a different feeling, isn't it?
Most deck builder games, you buy them, they go to your discard pile. You got to wait till you cycle all through your discard pile, shuffle, and then you'll see it again in 3 or 4 more rounds. But yeah, Imperium Classics and Concordia, both of them, as soon as you buy it, it goes into your hand. Imperium, it allows you to kind of extend that turn. In Concordia, it just extends the time before you have to do that reset and pick all your cards up again. But yeah, both of them have that mechanic, which is really cool. I didn't think about that.
Mark, that was a great conversation about this. Go ahead. He loves this game.
I'm sorry. One more thing. So the way you buy cards in Concordia, I'm sorry, I love this game. The way you buy cards in Concordia, this is a thing that I've seen in lots of games, where the card at the very one end is very cheap and it gets more expensive as you go.
Oh yeah.
And then the card on the all the way to the right is the most expensive. Card all the way
this
left
is why we can do this
expensive.
all night. Like we could literally just talk to Mark all night because this reminds me of the Century Spice Road does this. A lot of games do this in the opposite way, right? It's not that the card's more expensive, is that it starts enticing you to take the cards that are on the other end
because they get resources put on them if people don't take them or whatever. Yeah,
the silver and the bronze coin.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When they slide to the end. Yeah.
Right.
They get victory points.
It makes you want to take them now because they're more enticing. Oh man.
Yeah.
So if you like Century Spice Road, a Scythe, Twilight Imperium 4th Edition, Imperium. I can't remember all the other ones we compared to.
It was a bunch.
Marco Polo. Then you just might like Concordia.
Yeah, for sure.
Sponsored by Mark Stang.
I actually called because the 2 games that I've been playing lately, that's the theme of tonight. So I'm just going to hit them real quick and then I'll get off so other people can call. The first one is The Crew, Mission Deep Sea, the sequel to The Crew.
Waiting to play that one.
I love the original Crew. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Oh, love it.
I grew up in Ohio playing euchre my whole life, so I love trick-taking games.
Yeah.
And the original Crew was amazing. And this one, I've played this new version, I think, 3 or 4 times now, and I don't know that I'll ever get the original Crew back out again.
I keep hearing people say that.
Better.
Yeah.
No way, because the Crew is like legit amazing.
Yeah.
You're saying that
I know.
This one replaces everybody who's saying they plays this one. They say they'll never play the original Crew again.
Because it's because of the way they do the missions.
Yeah.
They changed it up. They instead of just you'd normally say somebody has to take this trick, with this particular card, and somebody else has to do this, and they have to be in certain orders.
Which that was amazing. That was innovative. That was like insane, like so cool to me.
I agree. I mean, I love the game. It's in probably my top 20, although this one's going to replace it. But the new one, it comes with a deck of cards.
Yeah.
And each card has a difficulty rating based on the number of players.
Right.
So, for example, one thing might be really easy for three players to get, but hard for 5 players. So, and there's the diversity of tasks is because it's not just, you got to catch the yellow 5. It's you've got to take the first 2 tricks this round, or you can't take the first 3 tricks this round, or you need to take. I can't remember. My mind is going right now, but there's so many different ones, and it steps it up. And everybody I've talked to has played it. They're just like, let's play that again. I pulled it out last night, a game night, and everybody's like, let's play it now. And it's.
See, I didn't even give it a second thought. I haven't bought it. I haven't looked at it. I haven't even thought about buying Deep Sea.
Yeah.
Because I think the original Crew is just so awesome on its own, and I rarely get to run through a lot of them in one night.
It originally seemed like it was probably just a retheming. It's like, they did it from space, they put it underwater, new story. But no, this got some new mechanics in it.
Mark endorses it.
I tell you what. In 2 weeks when we're sitting down in Orlando, I'm bringing it with me. So yeah, I know it's in the Dice Tower library,
Yeah.
but I have it in my quiver anyway. And we can just break it out and just play like 5 hands or something and see what you think. But I think it's great.
Absolutely.
I couldn't believe how much better it was. So, and the other one, real quick, I won't go into it, is just Furnace. I've been playing a lot of Furnace.
Oh, yeah.
I
really
see.
enjoy
I
that.
want to buy this one.
That's a good one.
We had our 4th baby. I'm on a budget. For the first time in a long time, I'm on a gaming budget. I know it's unheard of, but I keep looking at Furnace, thinking, well, maybe if I don't eat for like 4 days, I can pull together
it's not
enough
that
money.
expensive. It's
No, it's like a $40 game.
Yeah, it's a $40.
William brought it over, and we got to play it. Mark, you are so right.
Yeah.
I don't like auction games. I think I've said that before, but I love Biblios, and I love the way Furnace does the bidding mechanism.
Yeah.
It is so friendly.
It's really innovative and cool.
It's so friendly. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't win it. You still get
something out of it, yeah.
And the more you bid on it, the more you get. Like, usually the more you bid on something and you lose,
Then you feel
the
that
more
much
angry
worse.
you are.
For sure.
But in Furnace, when you bid on it, you're going to get a number of resources multiplied by the number you bid.
If you don't win the card.
If
So-
you don't win the card.
Right. So if you have the highest bid at
Sometimes
the end,
I don't want to win. Like,
no,
I
you
bid
just want
on it
those resources.
praying that someone will outbid me because
Yeah.
I just wanted the resources.
Oh, for sure.
God, Mark, great game, man. Furnace is awesome.
All right, I've taken away so much time. I'm going to hang up.
Oh, no, you're good.
I'll
Yeah,
talk to you
it's been
guys
fun.
later this evening.
We want to welcome everybody to the Beans and Dice show hosted by Carlos, Rob, and Mark.
Mark. Yeah. No problem.
Thanks, Mark, for the call, man. That was awesome. Great. We still have time for more. 813-618-7099.
Yeah, time for one more call. if you
Once
wanna
we're
get
done
in.
with this, Rob and I are going to keep going with Imperium
We're going to finish. We were mid-game, so we're going to try to finish up Imperium Classics, my first game of it.
and my first multiplayer game of it.
Yeah.
But I needed 2 brains to figure it out. So, Mark, awesome call, man. That was, I know, yes, I get it. It went long, but you had some awesome topics. I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah.
Rob, so I said Biblios. What other
Biblios,
games have you played?
Oh.
So, we just did it for my birthday the other day. Let's talk about the game we just played.
Oh, Dune Imperium.
Right.
Of course. Yeah, that one's I know you're an Arnak fan, so those 2 games always get compared. And I'm hearing more and more people say recently that they don't understand why they're compared other than the fact that they came out close to the same time and they're both kind of deck builder games, even though they've got so many other things going on. But yeah, I mean, this one still definitely is above Lost Ruins of Arnak for me. But Dune Imperium, on your birthday, we got together. We went and actually we played the game first. We met up over at Armada Games, and then we played. It was maybe less than 2 hours. So it was a 4-player game. And then after we played the game, we went over and watched the movie. And so, good movie. We won't spoil anything here, of course, but we did both. Neither one of us realized that it was part 1 of a multi-part. I'm assuming a 2-part series. But yeah, Dune Imperium. We've talked about it before. It's got so much going on in that game. And again, the thing that really sets that one apart for me is over Arnak, Lost Ruins of Arnak, is that
It's not theme.
that battle at the end of every round.
Definitely ain't theme.
No, not for me. No, but that battle.
It
at the
ain't
end of every
art on
round,
the board.
knowing that every round that battle's going to happen and there's going to be some good rewards. There's times that I don't want to be in that battle.
That's what I like about
Gotta
it.
be in that battle because I can't let Carlos just walk away with a victory point or 2 just because he was the only one who threw guys into that battle.
But it's not even that. It's also the times when you shouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
Like you see the battle accumulating. You know who first and second are gonna be,
Yeah.
and earning a water for third place.
Slide in there sometime.
Right.
It might be worth a unit
It's not
or
worth
2.
it.
Well,
It's
it
not
could be. It
in my
might be.
mind.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather kind of hold off and build my forces for that next card flip, and
yeah.
kind of hope that next conflict card is like even better
Well, say
than the last
some
one.
of them are and some of them aren't. So yeah, that randomness in there. Sometimes you're hoping for those victory points, and then it turns out, like you say, to be a water or 5 spice or some denarii, and it's like, oh, that wasn't the good one. But I'm already, I had all my guys ready to go to get in that next battle, but that's not what I really wanted. So yeah, there's so many decisions. There's worker placement on there. You're blocking out spots with worker placement, gathering resources.
Influence, right? So you're building
Yeah.
influence with the different
houses.
factions
Yeah, there's 4
to
different
get points.
factions. Yeah. So there's just a lot of little elements of that game, and I think I definitely think Arnak, Lost Ruins of Arnak is a little lighter in my opinion. So it definitely has audiences. I'd play that with the family pretty much any day instead of Dune. But if I had my choice and I'm playing with other gamers and really thinking through the game, Dune Imperium is definitely my choice.
All right, well, Mitchell popped into the chat, says that he also played Dune Imperium on
sweet.
Friday.
Nice.
Not to celebrate my birthday.
Oh, no.
It
I'm
wasn't
sure
for my birthday.
It was in
but
spirit.
It was
Yeah.
to celebrate the movie, he says.
Okay.
And in the chat, he says, though the film was underwhelming. Now, I think he touched a nerve here.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
right after that,
Oh, here we go.
we get Wayne popping in. The movie covered 200 pages of a 600-page book, right?
Yeah.
Trying to, make amends for the fact that the movie was underwhelming. Right after we played Dune, Robert and I went to the local theater
Yep.
right next to Armada
Right
Games.
over there, yep.
Yep, just hustled over there. Like, I think we had to really rush it.
Yeah, we got there just a couple minutes before it started, yeah.
Right. So we made it to the movie. We enjoyed the movie. They had libations. It's one of these dinner places. So I got to get like a pitcher of beer.
Yeah.
We got some popcorn and watched the movie. Did you walk out feeling the way Mitchell walked out about the movie with the underwhelming?
I was excited for the first half of it. I thought it was really moving along nice. It got a little slow at the end, and it felt like they were stretching. And again, that's where, when at the very beginning of the movie, it says part 1. And I know when that popped up on the screen, several people in the theater looked at each other. I heard several people murmur, part 1.
We say several, but there was like 5 of us in the
Yeah, it was a
theater.
total of like 6 or 7 people in that theater. So yeah, I know 1 or 2 of us from our group, and then the guy
then behind us.
yeah, they were like part 1. So that was a bit of a surprise, and so it felt like as it got longer into that movie, they were really trying to stretch it. And I don't know again if they're stretching it for the multi, although it is a big complex book. I've tried to read the book a couple of times.
You read?
Yeah, well, I don't. That probably is one of the reasons I don't, is because I tried to read this when I was in high school, and
Turned you off of reading.
yeah. The book is really intricate with the different houses and the different factions and the behind the scenes stuff, and it's just really deep and heavy into all that stuff. But
Now, we have some folks in the chat here. So Mark says he disagrees on the film. He loved it.
okay,
Right. I know Wayne did. Wayne
Yeah.
seemed to enjoy it. Is it because you read the book and you understand the relationships behind it? That's what I'm asking the folks in the chat to just chime in on that. For me, Robert, the issue was I didn't feel any love for anybody in the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Right. I described it as, when asked, as like I stepped into Empire Strikes Back, but I never got to watch
yeah,
A New Hope of Star Wars. So I never understood how Luke came from some farm shooting womp rats, right? To understand why I should love him.
yeah.
I was just kind of told you should love this guy.
Yeah, and I don't know how they would have done it, but yeah, they spent a lot of time, and we chatted about this a little bit in our group chat for our game group, but they spent a lot of time about developing the motivations of the different factions, the different houses, and so that got a little slow. But then, yeah, it's hard to say because they kind of jumped into it, so I can see where you'd be a little lost if you really didn't know anything about it. And my daughter was with us.
They're chiming in the chat here, and they're saying yes. Wayne says he's read it 5 or 6 times.
Okay, there you go.
Right,
Yeah.
and Mark says he loves the book. So
Yeah.
and that's got to be it, is because I'm not having like the Atreides. That's the family. How's
Yeah.
the house name? Right,
House Atreides, yeah.
They're supposed to be like the good guys of the movie.
Kind of, yeah.
But there's nothing there that engenders me to them, other than the fact that Momoa is there. Like, okay,
Jason
I like
Momoa.
Aquaman, right? And
Yeah.
and I like Khal Drago. Like, that makes me want to root for that side. But outside of that, I'm like, go Drax, go get him.
The bad
Dave
guys.
Bautista,
Yeah.
go kill them all.
Yeah. There's there's a bit of a, again, I mentioned in our chat that I don't feel particularly pushed by the movie to root for one side or the other. It's different motivations. There are different people doing different things, and so you can kind of pick your side. I don't think they push you too hard to be under House Atreides. I mean, that's, again, they do kind of make them out to be the good guys to some extent, that they're being put in a rough situation. They've been asked by the Empire to run this planet, and
I will say the cinematography was amazing.
yeah. And
Like
some of the camera stuff they did.
This
and,
movie,
yeah.
we just watched Aquaman. My 10-year-old son and I
Yeah.
after school, we watched because it was a rainy day here in Florida, so
Sure.
we didn't do
Yeah.
anything outside. And the CGI is just so terrible. in Aquaman, and you think about the CGI we saw
in Dune,
in Dune, the thopters and the wow, this show just turned into a movie review. Anyway, the thopters, the explosions, the ships, the planet, the worms,
bright, dusty desert planet.
Everything looked gorgeous.
Oh, it did. Yeah,
like the cinematography in this film, the CGI in this film was amazing.
And the sound, I know a lot of people have said that this is definitely one you want to see in the theaters because of the again, the cinematography as well as the sound. And they play with sound, they play with light a lot.
They did. A lot of the thrumming, pulsing bass of the, and I can't get that from my little Yamaha system at home.
You gotta have a nice bankroll to get a system like that. But yeah, definitely. I know there's some more going on in the chat over there. What are they saying? I see keep moving.
Mitchell says the best. Oh, I'm sorry. Wayne says the best way to read it the first time is to listen to the audiobook. You know what? I'm going to take you up on that.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
I'm taking you up on that, Wayne. I'm going to buy the audiobook. I have Audible. I will get the audiobook. Mitchell says Bautista and Momoa were barely on screen. I read an article today about that because Zendaya, I believe she was Disney or Nickelodeon. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Disney, was it?
Yeah.
She was just put out there as one of the stars of this film, and I think they timed it. She was on there for 7 minutes.
Oh, yeah. She's hardly in the movie till the very end. My guess is she'll be a big character in the next movie. But.
Mitchell talks about that with Bautista and Momoa.
Yeah. Momoa.
If they
combine them,
when they have a kid,
they're together.
Momoa. They were rarely in the film. Mark Sang says the only thing for me is that it felt rushed. Some of the characters were just throwaways. This book really needs to be a miniseries. Yes, a miniseries like a Honor Harrington.
Yeah,
Honor Harrington had a miniseries.
Yeah, much shorter ones.
So many books that you can put into a miniseries. That's a great idea, Mark. And then and Shaddad Mapes totally wasted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Man, I enjoyed the film. It was a good experience.
Yeah. I'm not itching to see the next one. I will see the next one, and I'll see it in the theater.
But you know what? I'm going to do the audiobook thing.
Yeah,
I will do that. Might make me be like, whoa.
It did make me want to play the game, though, bringing it back to board gaming. As soon as it was over, I was like, ooh, I want to go play the game again. So now that I've seen the movie and the art and stuff in Dune Imperium is based off of this movie, although that came out.
No. The art in Dune Imperium is based on the novels.
Oh, is it really?
Portal Games has the art for the movie, so their games has the art for the movie.
I thought I saw somebody say it was from this, but okay. Yeah.
Now, if you go look at it, you'll see like all the Atreides characters and everything in Portal Games.
I know Portal. Yeah,
those are all straight from the movie.
Oh yeah, I know that for sure. Yeah,
pull up Imperium, you'll see that's not from the movie. They did, I believe, they got their
from the book.
Their licensing from the book. Gotcha. They had somebody create the art. The art is good.
Yeah,
but it's
and just the characters and stuff and all that, the thopters and all that. I want to get back into that.
And yeah, I'm gonna do the audiobook, and we'll see if that triggers the love.
We'll play the game again.
Yep. So you folks in the chat, let's see here. HBO should have done it instead of Game of Thrones. Yes. See, Game of Thrones for me, I loved it. But that's because I read all the books before I even watched any of the shows.
Oh, okay.
So I think that would have worked. Mitchell says Dune Imperium definitely has Momoa, Zendaya, etc. in it. They rarely in it. And then the HBO series like Game of Thrones would have been amazing. I agree. And often read. Wayne says he'll often read a sci-fi book while also listening to the audiobook. That's my preferred format. Mm-hmm. If I'm in bed, I want to read the book. And if I'm driving, washing dishes, watching a baseball game that the kids are at,
sure,
I'm listening to the audio.
Makes sense, yeah.
So I'm gonna probably flip between the two. So I think that'll wrap us up for our show because Rob and I are going to get into some Imperium Classics.
Imperium Classics, yeah.
If you have any ideas for topics for next week's show, let us know. We're going to be it's going to be just me solo.
I think we did talk about, though, maybe talking a little bit about the
Dice Tower Retreat.
Yeah,
so if you have topics for future shows, please put them in the comments or put them in the Facebook group. Find us on Facebook. The Beans and Dice Gaming group is our Facebook group.
Yep.
There's a Beans and Dice Gaming page. We're also on the Instagrams. Make sure you like and share with your friends so that we can get more folks involved in these conversations that we love having.
For sure.
And next week I'll do the show solo. We'll do talking about the Dice Tower Retreat.
Yeah, I'd like to see y'all do that and see if we can
Get
talk
Mark to call in and talk to us about his prior experiences.
about what you're looking for this year and who you want to meet, what you want to do. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yep. And then the week after that, we will be at Dice Tower
Yep.
Retreat. And the plan is I'm going to pick up Mitchell from the airport Wednesday night.
Yep.
We're going to game all day Thursday. And then Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be doing the live
Try to go
shows
on live.
straight from Dice Tower Retreat.
Hopefully taking calls and all that good stuff. We're
Talking to you about how it's going and what we're doing.
working out the logistics. So as long as we got good internet there and we can get a phone signal in the building, we'll do it live.
We will find a way.
Find a way.
I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
And we're the Beans and Dice Podcast, a podcast about
How we game.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, folks. Have a good day. Stay safe. We will see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks for watching the Beans and Dice podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.